Tonight, more on a woman found dead in a home where more than 40 cats were rescued. The Sask NDP raises concerns over care for cancer patients, and how the Venezuela situation is impacting former residents living in our province.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. We're learning more about what led up to a woman's death inside a Wynyard home where more than 40 cats were rescued earlier this week. Sierra D'Souza Butts has more on how people in the community are feeling, raising concerns on how the incidents could have been prevented.
When Wynyard RCMP conducted a wellness check at a residence in town on January 2nd, they found two women inside, one of whom had died. The other woman was connected with necessary health care.
People did know these ladies. They had been sort of shut-ins for a long time, but everybody that knew them liked them. You know, they were not ostracized in the community. People did like them.
The house was being warmed by space heaters and was filled with garbage piled several feet high. Mozart's Empathy Animal Sanctuary was called in to help remove dozens of cats from the home, with more believed to be inside.
They're just coming out of nowhere. We're not sure where they were.
Veronica Hermiston says she could tell the cats were loved and cared for, adding she has seen cases like this before.
We go into homes and we help people that have overpopulation problems with cats and dogs. So yes, we could have helped sooner, for sure, or just taken them a little bit at a time from the family, and many things like that, preventative care.
A close family friend who did not want to appear on camera says the woman who died was an incredible person, and it's sad it had to come to this, wishing someone would have stepped in sooner. Adding she fed the animals better than she fed herself, and the health system let her family down. Now, the community is asking for support for families who find themselves or their loved ones in similar situations.
There just needs to be the ability for systemic intervention into severe mental health issues and not have to wait until the person is in such bad condition that they become an immediate threat to themselves.
Questions still remain about what will happen to the home. CTV News has reached out to the town of Wynyard for comment, but did not hear back in time for broadcast. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Wynyard.
The Sask NDP is raising concerns over a new report about healthcare wait times for cancer patients in our province. According to Saskatchewan Cancer Agency data, 86 people with cancer died in the 24-25 fiscal year before receiving treatment, many before even seeing an oncologist. The NDP says the numbers point to a healthcare system in crisis, forcing some patients to seek care outside the province while others are left waiting.
Far too many vulnerable people are spending their final days waiting in pain and waiting for help. This isn't acceptable, and it's time for big, bold change in healthcare.
The Saskatchewan Cancer Agency says more than 7,600 individuals get diagnosed each year in the province, with some early deaths attributed to patients choosing alternate treatment or discovering a cancer at an advanced stage. Now, Saskatchewan is not alone when it comes to health issues. According to the report as well, more than 9,000 people died in Ontario waiting for a diagnostic test, more than 3,700 in BC. Now, during our year-end interview with the Premier, Scott Moe talked about needing to have more innovative ways to deliver health care. That included more urgent care centres and virtual care. Alison Bamford shows us how virtual care is working in one Saskatchewan town.
I had a pretty severe migraine.
Emily True rang in the new year with a trip to Outlook's emergency department. She needed to see a doctor, but the only one available was virtual.
There are people that are frustrated with it, but at the same time, a virtual physician is better than not being able to see anyone at all.
The town is one of several that struggles with recruiting doctors. Vacant shifts are sometimes filled with virtual physicians connected either by phone or video call.
My little girl had pneumonia, and because a doctor couldn't physically see her and see her breathing, they debated sending her to the city.
In-person health care is always the goal, according to the Saskatchewan Health Authority, but with hospitals facing a countrywide doctor shortage, it's not always possible.
There's certain conditions that a physician cannot treat virtually. I can't do sutures virtually, but can I treat somebody's heart attack virtually? Absolutely, I can.
Outlook is one of 28 communities using virtual physicians in their emergency departments. Essentially, it's the last line of defense, preventing service disruptions and temporary ER closures.
I don't think we have any option but to innovate.
In other parts of the province, primary care, physiotherapy, and ultrasounds are being performed virtually through Saskatchewan's Virtual Health Hub, using leading-edge technology and robotics to close the gaps in northern and remote communities.
The future is a hybrid system where virtual care supplements and supports human care.
Doctors say human touch is still just as crucial in delivering services, and that's something many don't want to lose. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Outlook, Saskatchewan.
All right, Sabine joins us now for our first look at weather as we're moving closer and closer to that warm-up, close to the zero mark on the weekend.
Yeah. End of the weekend, but even the next day or two, Lee, we're still going to see those temperatures within that seasonal range. So we're not seeing extreme cold temperatures like we were seeing weeks ago. We're seeing a very nice start to the new year, and that will change as we get into the end of January, but we won't worry about that. Let's focus on right now. Today, another sunny day in many parts of the province, including much of southern Saskatchewan. Did see a little bit of that cloud cover. You can take a look at those current temperatures right now. Still sitting above seasonal, -1 in Maple Creek, -6 in Moose Jaw. Of course, wind chill still playing a role in some of those temperatures, but even then, -4 for Maple Creek, -7 in Moose Jaw, -17 in Regina. The average daytime high is about -11. We warmed up to -10 with the wind chill of -17, but heading into the end of the weekend, that's where we'll start to see those above zero temperatures, and I'll talk more about that in your forecast. Lee?
All right, thanks, Sabine. Preliminary hearing dates have been set for the man accused of fatally shooting a woman on a Saskatchewan highway. Chris Fallman will have a week-long hearing this fall in Weyburn starting October the 21st. He's accused of first-degree murder in the death of Tanya Myers, who died after being shot in a moving vehicle on Highway 39 near Weyburn last September. The accused also faces a count of intentionally firing a gun while being reckless to the life and safety of another person. Former students of Saskatoon's Legacy Christian Academy have taken their lawsuit against a private school to Saskatchewan's highest court. As Donovan Mace reports, they're looking to reverse a stay in their lawsuit.
A lawsuit against Saskatoon's Legacy Christian Academy is back in court as lawyers representing former students of the private Christian Academy argue a Court of King's Bench judge erred in law by staying the civil suit due to an abusive process. 22 former students first bringing forward their litigation against the academy in August of 2022, seeking $25 million in compensation, alleging they suffered various forms of abuse while they attended the school. In June 2025, a judge dismissing the civil suit, saying the plaintiffs failed to immediately disclose settlement agreements with 3 defendants, adding these settlement agreements significantly altered the litigation landscape. Now, in his arguments Thursday to a panel at the Court of Appeal, the lawyer representing the former students, Grant Sharfstein, saying a stay of proceedings is the ultimate remedy granted only in certain cases, and the abuse falls at the high end of the spectrum of seriousness. Instead, the Chamber's judge opted to implement a rigid rule which predetermined the remedy. Sharfstein continuing, saying staying this action has absolutely denied the appellants and the entire proposed plaintiff class of their day in court and their access to justice. Respondent lawyer Amanda Quayle countering to say justice is a two-way street. We asked them for the agreements. They told us to go pound sand. Through questioning, the appeal panel asking why the court cannot have additional discretion in their reasoning for more nuanced circumstances. Chief Justice Robert Luer asking if there were any other similar cases where a stay became automatic. The respondents saying not in their experience. Now, the Court of Appeal reserving its decision to a later date with a ruling expected in the coming months. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
In a matter of days, the South American country of Venezuela has changed directions both politically and economically. These moves have impacted places all over the world. That includes Canada and the future of the oil sector. But what do people think here that are from that country? Mick Fable has more.
In Saskatchewan, people originally from Venezuela are keeping tabs on the latest updates for what's happening in the South American nation after the U.S. military extradition of President Nicolas Maduro.
It is very bombarding to go on your social media every day and see images that are painful and hurtful, and it's scary.
One of those significant conversations happening right now is the future of Venezuela's natural resources. Osnaldo Prieto was born in Venezuela and spent a large portion of his life there. He says Venezuela, possibly being one of the wealthiest countries in the world resource-wise, was not a visible thing in his experience.
Realistically, before, the resources were not going to Venezuela either. It's not as if Venezuela was thriving or, the wealth was actually being put into for the people. It creates a big unknown for us as to what's going to happen in the future.
Venezuela is home to some of the biggest crude oil reserves in the world, meaning what happens there in the coming weeks and months is expected to have a global impact, including on Canada's oil industry. Saskatchewan's premier says it only adds to the urgency of getting Canadian oil to global markets.
We're already taking a discount on the oil that we're producing because we don't have that global market access, or other countries around the world don't have access to Western Canadian oil, and so we should be having this conversation.
As the world watches what's happening in Venezuela, those with close ties to the country hope others see it as a country filled with real people and not just in terms of dollar signs.
This is a humanities issue. This is not an issue about money. And if we're only focused on the economical growth for the 1%, that also isn't serving us.
Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
A Saskatoon tech company is leveraging AI to help solve a time-consuming problem for many small businesses: unanswered customer reviews. Ventasta has launched an AI reputation specialist that can respond to customer reviews and help engage customers in real time to turn feedback into meaningful change. With up to 75% of customers searching for a business online before going out the door, reviews can be the first thing that a customer sees.
I actually think it's orders of magnitude bigger than the internet, because not only is it changing everyday tasks for consumers, some workflows for businesses, it's actually making possible things that were never possible before.
The new reputation specialist is part of Vendasta's growing AI toolkit, which they say can free up businesses for other tasks. The last living member of Saskatchewan's Tommy Douglas government has passed away. Kim Thorson was 93 years old. He was first elected to the legislature back in 1956 and served as Minister of Industry and Commerce during the 1970s. Wayne Wantika looks back at his time in the legislature.
For pictures. At NDP headquarters, staff paused to reminisce about the life and accomplishments of Kim Thorson.
Young Kim enjoys politics. He was the youngest member elected at the time. He was 24 years old when he was first elected.
Thorson served one term in the Douglas government.
Some of my earliest memories are going to political meetings with Tommy Douglas speaking. And I guess that was the main inspiration.
It was an historic era as plans were made for Medicare.
That was the government that delivered on the dream and vision of Medicare. They changed our country and they changed healthcare forever. Kim and his incredible colleagues will not be forgotten.
Thorson spent a decade away from politics before being re-elected to a second term in 1971. He served as Minister of Industry and Commerce in the Blakeney government.
A real loss in terms of a legacy and a connection to a whole bunch of history about governments that made Saskatchewan a better place for everyone.
He was someone that later premiers relied on for advice.
As premier, and I know the same can be said of Roy Romano, we counted on Kim's counsel for the years that we were in government.
Kim Thorson spent most of his life working as a lawyer in Estevan, Regina, and Weyburn. He was a longtime member of the Rotary Club and served on numerous boards. He is being remembered as a person deeply committed to his community. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
After the break, protests in Minneapolis over an ICE officer killing a woman. Russia targets Ukraine's power infrastructure in another attack. There's There's outrage in Minneapolis after the fatal shooting of a woman in her car by an ICE officer, all caught on camera. The Trump administration is defending the officer as protests break out in Minnesota City. Joy Malbin has the latest from Washington.
ICE go home! ICE go home!
Tensions are high in Minneapolis. Armed, masked ICE officers using pepper spray and what appears to be gas on protesters outside of a federal immigration building.
What did he do?
Demonstrators demanding ICE get out of their city after the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Renee Good, a mother and American citizen.
I watched in absolute horror as I saw a woman who was clearly trying to get away, gunned down.
Homeland Security says Good was blocking ICE agents with her SUV on disturbing video from several angles.
No!
She backs up. Agents shout and grab the door. She drives forward. As the car turns, shots are fired.
You're not that.
Even before an investigation, the Trump administration, even the president himself, declared the shooting was justified, telling the New York Times Renee Good had behaved horribly. The vice president quickly blamed the mother, insisting a paid network of far-left radicals are responsible.
What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed.
As mostly peaceful crowds marched, state and local officials blasted the Trump administration, saying the FBI has cut them out of the investigation.
People in positions of power have already passed judgment. It feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation. It feels very, very difficult that we will get a fair outcome.
Minnesota's governor again pleaded with the Trump administration to leave his state alone to de-escalate the situation. Instead, the president plans to send another 100 ICE agents in. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has decided to withdraw from dozens of international organizations after the Americans complained of mismanagement, calling for the system to be streamlined. Mike Couture has more on the decision and the reaction.
The Secretary General regrets the announcement by the White House.
While expressing disappointment at the move by the U.S., the UN spokesperson also stressed that funding to a large number of United Nations bodies is mandatory for the United States.
Member states who've who've joined this club have to pay the dues.
The U.S. is the top contributor to the international body's budget, but the UN says Washington currently owes some $1.5 billion. Now, in a memo shared by the White House, the decision to withdraw the U.S. from 66 UN and international organizations came after a review of which ones are thought to be contrary to the interests of the United States. The list includes the Commission for Environmental Cooperation, the Global Counterterrorism Forum, and others, including the International Cotton Advisory Committee and the International Tropical Timber Organization.
The U.S. has been complaining for many years of the mismanagement of a lot of those organizations, the fact that, in fact, there are problems with their objectives, but also how they run.
The former Canadian diplomat points out the U.S. has not stepped away from major organizations like the World Bank and the UN Refugee Agency, but it is a blow to groups that did have American support. In a statement to CTV News, the executive secretary of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change called the move a colossal own goal, adding it can only harm the U.S. economy, jobs, and living standards as wildfires, floods, megastorms, and droughts get rapidly worse. While the Canadian government hasn't commented on the U.S.'s move, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry said the value of international organizations lies in upholding shared interests, not national self-interest. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
In Ukraine, crews are working to restore power after Russian attacks in 2 southeastern regions. Almost 500,000 households in an industrialized region were without electricity this afternoon, and in another region, power was just restored after an outage forced infrastructure to rely on reserves. Earlier in the day, the government said more than 1.7 million homes faced water supply problems. Ukraine's president says Moscow is intent on using winter as a weapon. Victims' families are marking the 6-year anniversary of the downing of Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 over Iran.
Of the 176 victims, about 44 of those had direct ties to our city. And as a community, we grieve with all of you, not from a distance, but right here as neighbors, friends, and family.
That was the mayor of Richmond Hill in Ontario, David West. He says all 3 levels of government are chipping in to build a permanent memorial there to the victims in Unity Park, it's called. Flight PS 752 was shot down by 2 Iranian missiles just minutes after takeoff on January 8, 2020. Ottawa has vowed to hold the Iranian regime accountable for violations of international law. Coming up, a Canadian streaming series about a relationship between 2 hockey players that is garnering plenty of attention and viewers.
All right, welcome back. We're going to take a look at what you can expect heading into the end of this week and starting the weekend and what's to come next week. And it's all good news, I would think, for most of us. If we take a look outside right now, currently sitting at -11, wind chill sitting at about -17 still. We will see the temperature drop a few more degrees heading into the overnight, and the wind chill will also drop a little bit as well. And then as we head into tomorrow, we will see the temperatures get back into similar to what we experienced today. So not much in terms of active weather. That's the only difference. Tomorrow we will see a little bit of snow coming through parts of the province, and I'll show you that in a second. But for much of today, we just dealt with mostly clouds rolling in and out of parts of the province. A lot of southern Saskatchewan did see lots of sunshine. So as we head into tonight, we will see more cloud cover rolling in, and you'll see that right there heading into this evening. And with that, we have this system that's going to bring that band of snow coming through. So earlier in the morning tomorrow, around 6:30, we will actually see this band of snow coming right through parts of Saskatoon and Regina. It's more like light flurries. It's not a big system that's going to bring lots of snowfall accumulation. And that system, by the time we get it to 9 o'clock, we'll see it starting to make its way into Manitoba. So we will still see more of that snow coming through parts of the parkland. But late in the morning and into the afternoon, we will see that system clearing into Manitoba, leaving us with a little bit more clearer conditions, especially Regina seeing clear conditions. That will change by the time we get back into Friday evening, tomorrow evening, where we see a blanket of cloud cover rolling again. And into Saturday, another chance of seeing some pop-up scattered flurries throughout parts of southern Saskatchewan. It looks primarily staying in the southwest. And then again, Regina, very, very, very slight chance we could see some scattered flurries late Saturday afternoon. And then by the time we get into Sunday, that's where we start to see sunny conditions throughout the day. Taking a look, first thing Sunday morning, we'll start off clear, and it's looking like we'll see clear conditions right throughout the day. And that is also the day that we will start to see those temperatures bumping above zero. Now tonight, depending on where we are, areas like La Loche, we are in the seasonal range, -22 tonight, warming to -20 tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud. That is cooler than seasonal. But many other areas, La Ronge -11, -13, Prince Albert -14 for Lloydminster. These areas and areas that you're seeing on your screen now still within that seasonal range. -13 for North Battleford, mainly sunny, and -12 for Saskatoon. Yorkton, as we saw on the map, first thing in the morning around 9 o'clock, we'll see some of that snow coming through before it clears out. -10 is the expected high. The southwest also seeing warmer than seasonal temperatures. -4 mostly cloudy. Maple Creek, Swift Current mostly cloudy. -8 in Moose Jaw. A mix of sun and cloud. -9 over in the southeast. Same story. -7 right across the board. Assiniboia, Weyburn, and Estevan with a mix of sun and cloud. For Regina tonight, we will dip to -12. And with the wind chill, we will see again, the temperature is a little cooler than that, and then -9 is the expected high, with the winds picking up to 40 kilometers an hour. In terms of what's to come for the next 7 days, I would say it's looking pretty nice. -9, like I said, tomorrow a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures tomorrow for the low back into the seasonal range, but you'll notice a trend where even the lows are going to be very warm for the next 7 days as well after tomorrow. Saturday -10, a mix of sun and cloud. -9 is the low. +1 Sunday, mainly sunny. -4 is the low. By Monday, +3. Now the winds are expected to pick up, gusting close to 50 on Monday, but we'll still see a mix of sun and cloud, and the lows are still looking quite nice. Single digits throughout the rest of next week. +1. I'm so used to saying minus. +1, a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday. -3 is the low. By Wednesday, we're still above 0. +1, a mix of sun and cloud. It's not till Thursday we could see some flurries Wednesday night into Thursday, where we will see the winds also picking up to 70 kilometers an hour, but the temperature is still looking to be about 0. So the rest of the week, next week, we're looking at above seasonal temperatures. It's the week after they're going to drop.
So a slushy week on it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sabine.
Enjoy the sun.
Well, if you watch our station or any Bell Media channel, you've likely seen a commercial for Heated Rivalry. It's a streaming series created by Crave that's getting a lot of attention. As Heather Wright tells us, it's not the hockey scenes, but the off-ice action that's shedding light on what is often a taboo subject.
Welcome to the show, Heated Rivalry.
Hudson Williams sat down on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon last night and cracked a Canada Dry. His Heated Rivalry character's beverage of choice, and a reminder of where one of the biggest shows on the planet comes from.
Is it sinking in how big this show is? No.
Showcasing the two most talked about prospects in the world.
Heated Rivalry, the breakout show about hockey rivals that develop an off-ice romance, debuted last fall, winning praise for its heartfelt depiction of LGBTQ2S+ relationships and sparking discussions about representation in both TV and sport.
To have this kind of a romance story portrayed inside the context of men's professional hockey at the highest level, I think will have an impact.
The show has exploded in popularity, the talk of group chats and Tinseltown.
You guys made amazing, original shows that everyone couldn't stop talking about until that gay hockey show from Canada came along.
And go ahead, Connor.
The show is an all-Canadian export, based on a book by a Canadian author, set in Canada, filmed in Canada, and produced by Crave, a subsidiary of Bell Media, which also owns CTV. Film critic Richard Krause says Heated Rivalry is an example that Canada can be more than just Hollywood North.
We're not just a production house for Hollywood productions to come here and shoot things. We can generate shows that can find a global audience.
Heated Rivalry has been picked up for a second season. That is the good news for fans. The bad news is that season 2 is not set to be released until next year. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead, honoring Glenn Hall, an NHL legend from Humboldt who passed away yesterday.
Wardrobe consideration in part by Colin O'Brien Men's Shop.
At the Prairie Pinnacle in Melville this morning, Jolene Campbell looking to win her 5th straight against the up-and-coming Sarah Miller team, who are currently holding on to the final playoff spot, and the turning point was in the 7th end.
Oh, she did get all 3 moving.
Leading 6-4, but facing 4 without hammer, Campbell made that triple takeout with her first stone. Then she would draw behind cover with her second. That forced Miller to draw a piece of the button, and she would come up light. Quite the point swing in the final 4 shots. Campbell led 7-4 at that point. She goes on to the 9-6 victory. Other winners this morning, Ashley Thevenot, along with Penny Barker and Jana Tisdale. So standings, Thevenot on top of the round-robin standings at 5-0, followed by Campbell at 5-1. Now, both are on the ice right now. If they win their games, they would clinch playoff spots. Barker is 4-1, while Sarah Miller, Jana Tisdale tied for the final spot at 3-3. Teams are back on the ice, as I mentioned, right now for draw 7. Now, as for the men, defending champion Rylan Kleider looking to stay undefeated as he faced 2-2 Dustin Kulthoff.
It's got to set.
It's a good piece up the forefoot.
Still looks like it's moving along pretty good.
In 5, called off heavy on a draw, giving up 1. That Kleider led 5-2 at that point. Jumped to the 9th, 6-4 Kleider, and the defending champion facing a similar shot, needing a piece of the button. But he's right on the money. 7-4 score there. He goes on to the 8-4 victory. Other winners in draw 6 this afternoon: Kelly Knapp, Tyler Hartung, and Carl DeConnick-Smith. So Kleider on top with a 5-0 record. Kelly Knapp behind him at 5-1. Steve Laycock, who had the afternoon off, is 3-2 in third, and Bradley Moser holding on to that final spot at 3-3. As you see, their next draw is 8 o'clock tonight. Well, football season might be over, but some of the top players in the province are getting the chance to put their cleats and helmets on for some indoor competition against teams from all over North America. Damian Smith paid a visit to Battle on the Prairies.
It is the largest indoor football tournament in the country.
It's another edition of the Battle on the Prairies underway in Moose Jaw, with 24 teams competing from across Canada, the U.S., and Mexico.
And it gives the kids a real opportunity to kind of develop, offense and defense, where you're not constantly punting type thing.
Despite being the farthest traveler, Mauricio Ordonez from Monterrey, Mexico, remembers when the tournament was just 3 teams. He and Stefanovic connected 8 years ago in San Antonio, Texas.
Super exciting to see how the tournament, how Battle on the Prairies have been growing since the first time. It's been great to see this tournament growing, and super grateful to be part of this growth.
From players from Mexico, it's not just a chance to play football, but to briefly experience winter on the prairies.
It's so cool, yeah. Cold, yeah. So cold, yeah.
Nick Anderson, an American-born linebacker for the Edmonton Elks, knows how important this tournament is, with scouts watching every play.
It really shows how much football just gives kids opportunities, and just to have the opportunity to play against talent from the U.S., from Mexico, from Canada, you're able to grade yourself, and you're able to meet different people, add different things to your game. So I feel like it's a great experience for the kids.
As for local players, it's nice to experience the different styles of play from different countries on their home turf.
American ball is a lot more aggressive, faster, more hitting. Best part of football is just getting to hit people, no repercussions,
The tournament is expected to expand next year heading to 2027, not only in terms of the amount of teams, but also the schedule. Previously it was 4 days, and now this time it is expected to be 6 days in total for next year's tournament. Damian Smith, CTV News, Moose Jaw.
Well, sitting in the basement of the WHL standings, the Swift Current Broncos are sellers during the WHL trade deadline. Last night, they sent top scorer Noah Kosick to Seattle for Brendan Rudolph, a first-round pick this year and a 4th in 2027.
Now Urix trying to get a hold of the puck in his own zone, bouncing in front of the net. They come through and the Oil Kings score.
Last night, the Broncos fell 6-4 to the Oil Kings. Miroslav Holinka is scoring his 25th goal of the season for Edmonton. Broncos return to action on Friday when they play the Raiders in PA. One of Saskatchewan's greatest ever hockey players has passed away. Hall of Fame goaltender Glenn Hall died in an Alberta hospital at the age of 94. Stacey Hine has more on the man from Humboldt who turned into a legend inside the crease.
Nicknamed Mr. Goalie, Hockey Hall of Famer Glenn Hall has died at age 94.
Obviously, everyone's, very upset about it. He lived a full, long life, which we're very happy about, and obviously accomplished a lot of amazing things.
Born and raised in Humboldt, Hall rose from small-town roots to national fame. Over the course of 18 NHL seasons, he set a record that still stands: 502 consecutive games played in net. Hall won 2 Stanley Cups, was named Rookie of the Year in 1956, and earned Goaltender of the Year honors 3 times. He played barefaced for years before adopting a goalie mask.
I played the last 2.5 years in St. Louis with a little mask that's something like the Lone Ranger used.
Hall was a pioneer of the butterfly style of goaltending, dropping to his knees to stop the puck. He was also in net for one of the most iconic moments in hockey history: Bobby Orr's overtime goal that won the Stanley Cup for Boston in 1970. Veteran sportscaster Ray Morrison says Hall's success came from his deep understanding of the game.
He knew exactly what those players were capable of with regards to, their shot coming up ice, the threats that they posed.
Hall is a Prairie boy through and through. In a 2002 interview with CTV CTV News, he spoke about his love for the country.
Probably enjoyed playing in St. Louis the most. Being a country boy, it's nice to just look across the fields.
Hall took great pride in his hometown. Humboldt's mayor says he never missed a chance to come home and spend time in the community.
Glenn was always a really nice guy, and he always made time to come to Humboldt, and you know, he never forgot where he came from.
The city honored him by naming its main street Glen Hall Drive and dedicating a park and monument in his name. He's being remembered not only for his talent, but his personality.
His sense of humor was great, and everyone loved him. He was very warm and easy to talk to.
Hall leaves behind a lasting legacy on the ice and in the community he never forgot. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead, an important discovery found under the bed of a veteran's niece.
All right, let's get into our rural forecast for tomorrow. And same story. We'll see those temperatures back into the seasonal range. Some areas like Hudson Bay will see some snow first thing in the morning before it clears out late morning, early afternoon. -10 is the expected daytime high. And then many other parts still staying within that average range. -13 for Spiritwood with mix of sun and cloud. Mainly sunny for Watrous at -12, but -12 and mix of sun and cloud for Melfort, Wynyard and Outlook, and mostly cloudy for Kindersley, -11. Lloydminster, -14 and mostly cloudy. Meadow Lake at -15 and mainly sunny. The closer to the southern border, temperatures again as usual, always looking a little warmer. Maple Creek -4 tomorrow, mostly cloudy. -9 for Leader, mostly cloudy. Then we will start to see a little bit more sunshine in areas like Assiniboia, Rockland, a mix of sun and cloud, -7, and -9 with a mix of sun and cloud for Lumsden, Pilot Butte, Broadview, and Carlisle. With Kenora also expecting to see some snow first thing in the morning. -10 is the expected high. A close look at Vanscoy with internet speeds up to 1 gig available through SaskTel. -11 tomorrow. Wind chill about -14, dipping to about -19. Goodness me, -19 in the evening with a wind chill of about -23.
Images put onto canvas to escape from the horror of the First World War have been uncovered in Collingwood, Ontario. Paintings found under a bed now help share the story of a Canadian veteran gone but not forgotten. Mike Lang has more.
Through sadness at the passing of his mother, Helen, Jeff Taylor stumbled upon unique family history documented by a veteran of the First World War.
Found a stash of paintings underneath her bed. So about 8, 9, 10 of these were underneath her bed wrapped in sheets, and we realized, oh, this is kind of special. What can we do with this?
Paintings by Jeff's great-uncle, Ernie Jeffries, who served for the Canadian Cyclist Corps in the First World War. Jeff, barely 4 years old when Ernie died in 1967, remembers vividly the smell of his uncle's pipe and his old color TV. Intrigued by his history, Jeff wanted to learn more about Ernie's time on the front lines through the Canadian War Museum.
He was at Vimy, he was at the Somme, he was at Ypres, he was gassed at Passchendaele. He saw the worst of the worst on a bicycle.
After the war, to escape from the images imprinted in his mind, Ernie turned to art, imagery, and inspiration he found along the southern shores of Georgian Bay.
To think that he survived that and then came back to Collingwood and painted these, it takes the paintings to a whole other level.
They tell a collective story about a man who was looking for peace.
The Taylors spent the last year gathering Ernie's paintings from other relatives locally and throughout Windsor and Sudbury. They are now on display at the Simcoe Street Theatre. Jeff's father and Ernie's nephew Greg seeing them for the first time on Wednesday.
Well, he would be astounded to think that his paintings 50 years, 100 years later are being shown. He'd be dazzled.
16 of them will be auctioned off in support of a foundation for Collingwood Marine General Hospital, where Helen was also committed to service as a longtime volunteer.
We're certainly touched by the entire story and how incredible it is, and we appreciate all their support.
The story of Ernie's unit, the Canadian Cycling Corps, is also featured in a book by Ted Glenn, an author and Humber College professor. Ted Glenn will be speaking next Thursday here at the Simcoe Street Theatre as the auction for 16 of Ernie's paintings continues until the end of January. The hope is that it will raise at least $10,000 for the CGMH Foundation. Mike Lang, CTV News, Collingwood.
Farm markets canola street price up $2.70 to $565.22 per ton. The futures price up $6.10 to $625.90 per ton. Amber durum wheat stayed the same, $274.92 per ton. Red spring wheat up $1.08 to $251.01 per ton. Feed barley is $213.59 per ton, while flax is $626.04 per ton. Those prices courtesy of Bunge. Stock markets, TSX up 243 points, at Dow Jones by 270 points. As for that Canadian dollar, it did go up by 0.05 of a cent to 72.14 cents U.S. On the commodity front, gold up $21.18. West Texas Intermediate crude up $1.77, while Western Canadian Select crude dropped $1.62, down to $41.43. Gas per liter, right now commonly found in Regina for $1.22.9 cents per liter.
Canada's overall trade balance went from a surplus in September to a deficit in October. Statistics Canada puts the deficit at $583 million, with Canadians importing more computers, smartphones, and other electronics in October. And that offset gains in unwrought gold Canada exported to other countries, excluding the U.S. The trading partners we exported the most to, the U.K. and the U.S. MDA Space has inked a deal with the U.S. Missile Defense Agency. There are no firm details on what the Canadian company will provide or how much the deal is worth. The agreement gives MDA the opportunity to bid on services needed down the road. The news pushed MDA stock higher. Shares closed up 6.5%. Canadian clothing retailer Aritzia reported earnings today. Net revenue beat what analysts had expected, coming in at over $1 billion. That's a 43% increase in revenue from the same period a year earlier. The company's online revenue is also rapidly expanding. It's up 58% year over year. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Back, someone in Saskatchewan is $18 million richer following a Lotto 649 draw last
night. And it's not Lee or myself. Yeah, according to the Western Canada Lottery Corporation, a winning ticket for the gold ball draw was purchased somewhere in Saskatchewan outside of Saskatoon and Regina. The winning number for the gold ball draw, if you haven't checked yet, is 373-831-3006. The winner or winners have 1 year to claim their prize.
Well, you got to maybe get your affairs in order if like 18 million, right? Take some time. You don't want to go like right away.
Why? Wouldn't you?
Well, I don't know. You got to
I have nothing to get in order. Just give me the money. Okay, so anyways, a marriage proposal is supposed to be unforgettable, but not for this reason.
I was in complete shock. I can't believe I did that. All that money was, oh my God. I just ruined her proposal.
I just laughed because this was such a Trevor thing to do. I think I was just more or less like, oh crap, what do we do next?
Yeah, Trevor Van Kamp had been planning to propose to his fiancee for more than a year on a sky bridge in Michigan. And, of course, it went down. They did search for the ring for a few hours before going home empty-handed, but a resort employee came to the rescue with a metal detector, tracked it down, and returned it to the couple. A happy ending and a proposal they won't forget.
Wow. Wow, that was a nice ring, too.
That is a nice ring. Do you think because it fell, like, is that like a bad omen or maybe a good omen?
I don't know if I believe in those.
Omens? Or rings? Probably omens.